All right, 30 days of whitetail. I'm gonna give you a tip because I get asked all the time, how do I know my rangefinder is accurate for angle compensation? So here's an awesome thing that you can do to understand, one, if your rangefinder actually properly does angle compensation, and then also a quick tip just in case it doesn't. So what you have to remember is the way angled shots work is line of sight is going to be much further than the actual trajectory of the arrow. So sometimes people don't quite get this, but if I'm up here in this tree and I'm shooting on a steep downhill shot, that line is going to be longer than the actual distance from me in a horizontal plane to where that object is. And that's where gravity affects it. It affects it in the horizontal plane, not the line of sight. So here's an example. Here in this tree, if I pick a tree that's straight across from me, straight across at my level, and I range it, 12.2, and then I point all the way straight down to the base, and it's 14.5, well, I know my rangefinder is not in angle compensation mode. It's in line of sight, and that would make me hit high. So make sure you have your rangefinder set in the bow mode or the trajectory mode or the trigonometry mode, so that when you range level and you've adjusted your mode correctly, even when you're shooting on these downhill or an uphill shot, it's going to subtract that math so that you have the right number. Here's another tip for you. If you don't have an angle rangefinder, if you have an old one that doesn't have the calibration, I shoot a Leupold full draw 5. This is by far my favorite rangefinder. The math in it is spot on, and what I love about this is it gives me the proper ranges on all color targets, which some other companies don't. But if you don't have a newer rangefinder, then what you got to do is find out where your major trails are crossing, especially if you're on a high ridge shooting down, and where that tree grows up. Find a tree that's on that trail, and where that tree grows up, range it where it's level with you. So for example, right here's my main trail. If that was a steep downhill where this comes up, I could range that tree, and that number on a horizontal plane is going to be way more accurate than the steep angle that isn't properly calibrating. So hopefully that makes sure, one, your rangefinder's right, and two, if you don't have one that is, one of the easiest hacks is just range something exactly level with you from your tree or your elevated position, and where that thing comes to the bottom, shoot it for that same number down low on the ground.